Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me here on whatever channel you're joining me on. This is the Duke of Daily, Andy PG from the blog Doom, or WWR Duke, for those of you who know me on Cage Side Seats. Either way, I am here providing alternate commentary for 6 hours of SummerSlam. I'm sure I'll regret it around hour 3. Now, a few things I'm going to mention here. We have not started yet. I am actually hitting the record button about 5 minutes early so that you can sync this up with your recording of the pre-show, which is what this tape will be. And then when SummerSlam comes around, I'll do the same thing. Immediately after the last match on the pre-show, I'm going to switch recordings. I am going to start the SummerSlam recording. Again, I'm doing this early so that when the time comes, you can sync it up. You can hear me say, "Begin show now," and that way my commentary will be paired up with it. What I'm doing here is I'm providing an alternate commentary so that those of you who are not fans of Booker T, for those of you who aren't fans of JBL, most of you, can not listen to them. I'm going to try and call the matches as I see them. When there is a video package, I'll stay quiet. When the wrestlers are talking, I'll stay quiet. Now, I'm going to try and keep this as clean as possible. I'm going to try and keep this as kayfabe as possible. But there will be times when, quite frankly, I just can't do that. For example, if something doesn't make sense, and I'm struggling for how to explain it within the bounds of the WWE Universe, I'm just not going to be able to, and I might step out of character. Hopefully that won't happen too often. As it stands right now, it is 4:56 Eastern Time, 3:56 Central, 1:56 Pacific, 9:56 in England, and in the WWE locker room, it is about 2 hours and 4 minutes until showtime, unless you're on the pre-show, in which case it's slightly less. Right now, we are watching the end of the Cruiserweight Classic. That just happens to be on before this. They are hyping Dorado versus Swan. They are hyping Sabre in his match. Zack Sabre so far probably the favorite to advance. They're putting him against Gulak in the second round. I know a lot of people were upset that that match is happening early, kind of like I was with Alexander. And they're highlighting Gargano versus Perkins. Gargano, it's going to be interesting to see if they planned ahead with continuity here. If you saw TakeOver Brooklyn last night, lucky you, you also saw that Gargano got hurt. That his leg was worked over by the Revival, that it led to a tap out. You've got to wonder, is that going to play into his match against Perkins? And this is kind of what I'm going to try and do here. Try and keep things within the realm of what we see on TV. It won't be easy. There are some things I don't agree with, and I have to sort of swallow it and play along. There are going to be some things that I do agree with, but I can't explain. And I'm going to have to find a way around that. So, we're doing advertising now. I thought maybe they were going to start the show. I have a huge jug of water here, about half a gallon worth. So don't worry if if you think I'm going to run out of gas some way through. I'll find a way. That's better. I also have my Skype on. I have a couple of friends who will be talking to me throughout the night. I will, if they say something funny, I'm going to follow up. But now I'm just kind of chatting, watching what's going on the screen. The Encyclopedia of Sports Entertainment. You know what? I got that once, like about 10 years ago. It was really a good read. Hopefully this next one will be as good. Just telling my friends what I'm doing for the next 6 hours. Going to provide alternate commentary on YouTube. Hopefully that's where you're hearing this. Maybe one or the other of you has posted this on another site. We'll see. More SummerSlam ads on right now as they're focusing on Apollo Crews, who, as you know, has an Intercontinental title match coming up against The Miz. It's going to be an interesting look to see if Crews has adjusted to the main roster. We know that he was fast-tracked there. We know that when he got on SmackDown, he got off to a very hot start. But the question becomes, when you're facing somebody like The Miz, who has seen it all, done it all, up to and including main eventing WrestleMania, can you surprise him? Can you catch him off guard? I'm not sure you can if you're somebody like Apollo Crews. There's been a lot of people who've suggested, maybe Nakamura should get a future title shot. There's a case where somebody can catch Miz off guard, I'm sure. But Cruz makes me wonder, really. I hope for the best of this match. I imagine he's going to be able to get his shots in, but Miz strikes me as too crafty. He's got Maurice at ringside. This is the kind of thing I'm afraid of here. So I see Miz doing it. All right. Prepare to start your recording. Actually, pause this started about 5-6 seconds. Oh, wait. Let's see here. I was waiting for the then, now, forever. It never happened. So here we go. Mountain Dew Kickstart presents the SummerSlam Kickoff. We have an outside shot of the Barclays Center here with people still lining up outside, wondering whether they can catch the 7 train home by the time the show ends, which might be 2 a.m. at this rate. Seriously, 13 matches on the show tonight. You're going to get your fill here. As I've said in other forums when I've talked about this is almost the roster's WrestleMania now. To be in a hotbed like New York City, right where this company started, and they have made a Herculean effort to get as many people as humanly possible on the show. So I want to applaud them. We're looking at the panel right now. Lita has just been introduced, so synchronize your watches that way. We go to... Yeah, she's excited, you can tell. I don't have the sound on, so I don't really know what she's saying. I'm hoping that you're not listening to sound either. Booker T is talking right now. And he's saying they're hanging from the rafters, if I can read his body language correctly. We go to Jerry Lawler, who was also pumped up and is wearing a gold and black Killer Bees tribute suit, from what I can tell. Obviously, Brian Blair, a big hit in Madison Square Garden, as long as the Iron Sheik wasn't within 50 feet of him. I'm sorry, I promised I would keep this within storyline. Let me work on it. Okay, so looking at Renee Young now. Her hair is already... it looks like she sort of slept on it before being wakened up 5 minutes ago. I've had hair like that, and it's never looked good. Here's Tom Phillips. They're panning to the social media accounts. Join the discussion, hashtag SummerSlam. I do not have Twitter. I will not be doing this. But I imagine they're going to say some pretty good things on the show. It's going to be hard to find something to say for 6 hours, let me tell you. Okay, so Sasha Banks will be in the social media lounge. That's going to be interesting. Hashtag TheBoss. We are going to listen to her. So I will actually stop talking and allow you to listen to her. I'll have it on in the background, so maybe you can hear it as I'm synchronizing it, but I can tell you right now, I have it muted for most of this because I don't want that feedback loop that tells you don't quite have it right. Something about that just doesn't sound right, especially if I want to hear myself. And we all want to hear ourselves talk. I mean, that's just basic human nature, isn't it? Yes, start your free month. New subscribers only. Too bad I've been subscribing since day one. Where's my free month? Back to the main table. As Lita talks about something, Renee talks probably about their experience at that social media lounge. Renee Young may be talking about the fact that the last time she had somebody on the table, it was the Miz and Maurice, and that's a completely different story. They were literally on the table. So, a lot of matches tonight. A lot of excitement, a lot of intrigue, and the occasional misstep, because as you know, we're not allowed to have nice things in the main roster. I assume this is all still part of some 10-year karma for insisting that Benoit main event or whatever. Anyhow, yeah, I guess staying within storyline is going to be pretty hard for 6 hours, what can I say? Just 10 minutes in and I'm already losing the plot. Actually 9 minutes in, just past the 9-minute mark of this recording. As Booker T and Jerry Lawler continue disagreeing. I almost feel better for not hearing this. I'll let you know that right now. I do feel better for not hearing this because I'm pretty sure they would have said something really stupid by now. Maybe somebody who has the sound on could confirm that later. I personally don't care, one way or another. Renee Young wearing what looks like a bathrobe. And I'm sure it's a very lovely dress all the way down. Don't get me wrong, but from the top up, the black outline and it just does not look like a dress. It's weird. I'm going to shoot myself in the foot several dozen times tonight. Don't worry, I'm used to it by now. I haven't slept since TakeOver, so I'm very excited. I am also running on very little energy right now, but fortunately my mouth, as several people who know me in person will testify, does not need that much energy to keep going. Well, I wish I had a Mountain Dew case. Actually, no, I've tried Mountain Dew. It's not very good. Is this what the people who do Let's Plays have a problem with? Trying to come up with something to say for the entire time, not really letting the game breathe on its own? I'm not sure. Here we go. First SummerSlam preview. And it is going to be of a 12-man tag team match here on the kickoff. You can see it in front of you. The Usos, American Alpha Hype Bros on Team 1. Team 2 is the Vaudevillains, the Ascension, and Breezango. Let's see. Basically, nobody, Usos and American Alpha. That's kind of how it goes. Now, Neville and Sami Zayn facing off against the Dudley Boys. An interesting contrast there. The Dudleys with continuity. Neville and Sami Zayn very strong as individuals. Wonder how that's going to play out. And we also know apparently there's a third match that's going to be on the kickoff show. And here it is. They're starting their best of 7 with the winner receiving, look, an eagle. Yeah, that's it. It is Cesaro versus Sheamus. Score tied at 0. We'll see who gets the all-important first fall under their belt. That's all coming up on this sound file, after which I will shut this off. I will reset. I will open a new sound file, and we will do the process all over again for SummerSlam. Because I don't think you want to listen to 6 hours. Furthermore, if you just want to do the SummerSlam file, better that you do that, which means that, it's probably a good idea for me to provide this as a separate item. Okay, the clock currently reads 1:53:50. If you're having trouble synchronizing it, I apologize that I was caught off guard, didn't see the then, now, forever, if there even was one. I don't think there was. That's how I'm going to try and synchronize the SummerSlam file, just so you know. Jerry Lawler is saying things at this point. Lita interjects. I have to say, with some of these kickoff shows, they have this sort of free flow to them. But the problem is, Lita was never that good at improvising things. And certainly, she looks bad next to Jerry Lawler, who spent basically his entire career speaking off the cuff. Now, Booker T is hit or miss at this point, because while he's a very good speaker, he has the charisma. Sometimes he tends to forget what it is, that he's trying to amp up, and it seems like he's more concerned with pushing himself or pushing whatever feelings he has over the story. He's still a character, in a sense, I guess, is what I'm getting at. I mean, obviously, they're all characters up there. We're not referring to Booker Huffman or Amy Dumas, but at the same time, the objective with these pre-show panels is, as far as I can tell, that you want to make the show better, that you want to make people appreciate the show more. And you can't really do that if you are talking about yourself or you're using your own catchphrase, because then people are thinking, hey, isn't that guy funny? Instead of thinking, hey, that match might be something. So that's kind of the only problem I have here. Now, I don't know how you would script something like this. I don't think you can script something like this. And that kind of works in the favor of Lawler. It works to the detriment of Lita. Booker, like I said, is hit or miss depending on what day of the week it is. But at the same time, Renee Young has put forth a yeoman's effort of trying to keep everything steady. And that's going to be a bit of an issue going forward. I'm sure that, she's got a lot of experience with it, but at some point, things are going to get away from her because they always seem to. So that's kind of why I'm glad I'm not listening to this. Anyway, there are going to be 10 matches on the main show. Rumors are flying, and it appears to be all but confirmed that we're going to end with Brock Lesnar main eventing his 3rd straight SummerSlam. This is approaching Hogan levels of consistency here. This time facing Randy Orton. Those who know me in both profiles and who just stumbled upon me know that I am a huge Randy Orton fan. So I am really rooting for him to push Brock Lesnar to the limit, if not steal that win. But I think we know better. Okay, right now, they're starting to talk about John Cena versus AJ Styles, and therefore so will I. But first, I think we're coming up on a video package here for these two. And as I said, I'll be quiet for the video package so that you can hear it and not have to focus on me. You can see the screen right now. And here we go, video package. Okay, I really didn't think that video package would be 3.5 minutes, so I apologize for everybody who was suffering through that, not watching the show. To summarize, for those of you who, for some reason, are not synchronizing with this, AJ Styles challenged John Cena for Money in the Bank, and they had the match. As part of the match, it was expected that Gallows and Anderson would not take part. Of course, they did. This led to sort of a 3-on-1 against John Cena for a very long time. Enzo and Cass come in. They have the 6-minute battleground. Cena gets his revenge against Styles. So now they are 1-1 in a sense. But now Enzo and Cass are gone. Gallows and Anderson are gone. So it is down to Cena and Styles. And this all comes down to one thing. Styles is questioning what Cena is doing. Styles, for the most part, is here in WWE because it is the place that will get him the most towards really a healthy life. He has dreamed of this for a long time. He has gone wherever he can to make money being a wrestler. But John Cena, in Styles' eyes, is doing the wrong thing because he's at a position now where he doesn't need that. And this was something that Cena discussed on a live SmackDown, saying, yes, I get it. I could leave the wrestling for more mainstream media, but I love wrestling. I want to stay here forever. Of course, John Cena would say that. He's only been saying that for how many years now? You could actually see Styles kind of roll his eyes as he was listening to this speech. And that's when Styles sprung the trap. He said, okay, if you're really into wrestling, wrestle me one more time, settle this once and for all at SummerSlam. Cena did not hesitate. He accepted. And Styles is acting like he got one over on Cena. I'm not entirely sure at this point. I think Cena would have accepted this challenge no matter what. I think he did not consider the matter closed. And especially considering that neither man was going to face Dean Ambrose tonight, that honor went to Dolph Ziggler. What else were they going to do, really? This is SummerSlam. This is the roster's WrestleMania. You need those big matches, and this is one of them. So, as for what's going to happen in this match, I know that's what they're talking about right now. I think what you're seeing here is this is the gut check for the AJ Styles character. We know AJ Styles, the wrestler, and we know John Cena, the wrestler, can bring the fight in a variety of different ways. We know that they are able to mesh well together. We know we're going to enjoy this. The question is, though, if AJ Styles does not beat John Cena, or if he has to resort to cheating one more time, does that diminish who he is in terms of SmackDown? If AJ Styles wins without a shadow of a doubt over John Cena, you know that he'll be next in line to face the Ambrose versus Ziggler winner because that's kind of how it's going to go. Same with Cena if he beats Styles. Now, a lot of you are saying, but I've heard rumors that, look, I'm trying to keep this within the universe, okay? Let's just move on from there. Back to the point at hand, which is the winner of this match puts themselves in an incredible position to be the next World Heavyweight Challenger. And when you think about the potential matches, those 4 potential matchups, Cena and Ambrose does not strike me as being a clean match just because I wonder... I don't think their styles really fit well together. We know Cena and Ziggler do really well together. They have before, they will again. As far as Ambrose and Ziggler, as far as Styles and Ziggler, Ambrose and Ziggler we're going to see later tonight, excuse me. As far as Styles and Ziggler, what we know is that both of them live for the pay-per-view spotlight and will probably pull out all the stops there. Styles versus Ambrose is going to be an interesting clash if it happens. Styles is a very crisp, a very clean wrestler, loves to put polish on things. Ambrose is a down and dirty wrestler. He fights like he is fighting from the seat of his pants a lot of times. So the question becomes, who do you really support in something like this? Okay, now on the screen, The Miz versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship. We were discussing this a little earlier before the pre-show began proper. Crews has gotten off to a really hot start, and that is a big deal. He was drafted surprisingly early, really, by SmackDown. And we're also here talking about Sasha and Charlotte. I'll get to them eventually. Crews was drafted surprisingly by SmackDown, became one of the 6 finalists for Ambrose's title shot, and has since earned the Intercontinental title shot. Okay, looks like, yep, they're talking about the songs now, so nothing to worry about. Sasha, of course, won the title on Raw from Charlotte. This is a contractually obligated rematch. Not much else to say there. I know a lot of people are going to be looking very closely at how this match turns out. And here come the announcers. You can see JBL is on his way to the ring. But we're not actually going to watch him go to the ring because there are some favors in mind. Also, more talk. Go back a few weeks ago to SmackDown Live and the #1 contenders match for the Intercontinental Championship. You can see here Cruz knocking Corbin out of the ring. Kalisto tries to return. Cruz catches him from behind. There's the cradle. There's a 3 count. And there'll be Apollo Crews versus a very intrigued Miz for the Intercontinental Championship tonight. And as you just heard, Miz kind of making fun of Cruz and of Brian's misspeech there. And Cruz does not want to listen to Miz and hits a spit-out powerbomb on him for his little statement. The first thing that struck me about this matchup is just how small Cruz is compared to even somebody like The Miz. You do not expect that, really, because Miz is always portrayed as being sort of this everyman in the ring, and you're kind of taken off guard when he's larger than some of these other people. The other thing is, of course, that Cruz is getting sort of this baptism by fire. Now, I mentioned before the show began that I think Miz is going to prove to be too crafty tonight. But I also think Cruz is going to put forth a pretty good showing from really an in-ring standpoint, from a kayfabe standpoint. I hate to drop that word, but I kind of have to. As it's 1 minute 40, 1 hour 40 on the mark now, just to keep you synchronized. So you have Cruz, who is getting his first real title match on the main roster, and will probably get the best look he's gotten in a very long time, because before this he's had basically short, exciting matches, or rather, well, at least short, some of them have been exciting. He's had short displays, I guess is the best way to put it, on Raw, and then he goes against Sheamus and basically pulls a win out of nowhere. Sheamus didn't seem to give him too much in the match, didn't seem to really be on the defensive too much. So what's going to be interesting here is we know that The Miz takes a beating when he's in his matches, and I think that's going to happen here again. We also know that The Miz is a smart character, and as such, he is capable of winning matches he shouldn't. So I think this will be another example of that, as we have Tom Phillips now ready for an interview with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. Okay, first off, how many people noticed near the beginning of the interview that Kevin Owens was playing with Tom Phillips' hair? Obviously, we all saw him take the handkerchief at the end. Second, I have to question Chris Jericho's choice of Snidely Whiplash tribute facial hair at this point, because really, it just doesn't look right on him. If he's going to do that, go full goatee. You can't go with the mustache and the soul patch. I've tried it. It doesn't work. But the big thing to take out of this, of course, I didn't actually hear what they said because, like I said at the beginning, I don't want infinite feedback loop on this, is remember that Jericho and Owens are sort of a team of convenience at this point, and that both men think that they're really, really important. And now they're going against people who have been presented as together since childhood in Enzo Amore and Big Cass Colin Cassidy. I think that's going to be a difference maker here. That now we're going to see an example of two more talented individuals going against a cohesive team when Neville and Zayn go against the Dudleys later on. But at this point, I think the bigger story is that Neville and Zayn, of course, can work together as a team if they need to. Zayn being one of the friendliest people on the roster, Neville being somebody who just wants to get back on track. Jericho and Owens, I think, are the type of people that would break up each other's pins just so they could get credit. And that might be a difference maker. As we are at ringside right now, you can see JBL, Mauro Ranallo, David Otunga. The announcer B team is there at ringside. As I take a quick drink, I apologize for the pause. And we are ready for our first match. It is the SmackDown Tag Division match. Entering first, that is Simon Gotch on the left, Aiden English on the right, as they are wearing some beautiful gentlemen's coats, and I wouldn't exactly call them ties. I'm not exactly sure what they are, but they certainly fit the bill. Aiden English's beard is becoming sincerely out of control here. We now have the Ascension, as they will rise up at some point. It would probably be easier if I could hear the music. Hey, check it out. You didn't even get to see them stand up. Well done, camera team. I believe that's Connor on the right and Victor on the left. Yes, it is. So that is 2/3 of our team number one. As we get the wide shot. And now, here come the remaining two members. Really a team more born out of happenstance than design. The furry boots mean it is time for Tyler Breeze and his current tag team partner, Fandango. They are known as Breezango. They're kind of Team Zoolander, really, for those of you who don't get to watch wrestling on a regular basis. And if you don't, how did you ever get interested in downloading this alternate commentary in the first place? So, that is team number one. Not really much star power on this team. That's kind of a detriment when you think about it. I don't know who really is the breakout on this side. But we'll get to that later, because here comes team number two, being led by our first participants, That is Mojo Rawley in front, Zack Ryder in the back. They call themselves the Hype Bros because there's nothing cooler than combining two gimmicks to make a team name. Mojo Rawley, for those who haven't seen him yet on SmackDown Live, basically is eternally 90 miles an hour. Now, in a good sense, this means that when it is his turn to go into the ring, you know you're going to see a very high-octane process. The bad news is, he's in a tag team for a reason, and that is he can basically go 4 or 5 minutes at that speed. Now coming to the ring, we have Jimmy and Jey Uso. I think that's Jimmy in front. We're going to say it is. I'm sure that Morrow is telling otherwise, but I don't have his commentary on. I know I've mentioned this a few times, but just a reminder. And now, really the mega stars of this 6-team 6v6 match. That is Chad Gable on the left, Jason Jordan on the right, American Alpha. A very interesting story from NXT for those who only watch the main shows. Jason Jordan was struggling. He needed a good tag partner. Chad Gable kept volunteering. Eventually Jordan relented, and wouldn't you know it, they had instant chemistry. Funny how that works. They are a former NXT Tag Team Championship duo, as are the Ascension and the Vaudevillains, by the way. So make of that what you will. The Usos have held the main titles. Ryder has been a singles champion and a tag champion with someone else. Rawley has yet to taste gold. Tyler Breeze and Fandango have yet to taste gold in their careers. So, let's see who is going to start this. They had sort of a preview match for this on SmackDown Live. Now I think they're giving them a little more time. It looks like it's going to be Breeze versus Gable to start, as we are underway in Brooklyn. Gable hyping up the crowd, sort of bouncing along, I'm sure, to their chant. Breeze rather perturbed by the whole thing. And here we go. Now we're into a mat wrestling match with Chad Gable. He is an Olympic caliber Greco-Roman athlete. And in Greco-Roman wrestling, for those who don't know, basically you are not allowed to grab or do anything with the legs. So you see a lot of that. You see a lot of the belly slams, if you will, a lot of the waist locks. My apologies, I almost sneezed there. A lot of head action, and Breeze with the escape thinks that's a really big deal. Gable wants to make a quick tag. Breeze does not want to let him. Into the arm lock. Gable bridging, tumbling, bridging, spinning, and switching, and then spinning around into a leg trip, and into the armbar. That's the kind of action that's made people really fall in love with American Alpha there. Gable's ability to do things like that, and that really is why when you see Gable, you probably see a future Cruiserweight champion. You might even see a future Intercontinental champion. I'm not sure if he's big enough to be a world champion. He's 5'8". He's about 160. I don't see it happening in the WWE just because there are certain people you cannot buy him having a hope and back against. And people talk about how matchups mean everything, and that's kind of important here. As Aiden English, and I believe that's Jey Uso, are going at it. English getting in some shots, now balling up his fist. This is sort of the Vaudevillain style. It is a 19th century bare knuckle style to go with their whole idea of being throwbacks. Jey avoids a whip into the corner of the slide, gets the uppercut, following up with a big slam. And the Usos, Jey Uso in particular, are in control right now. And he's going to work the arm some more. In comes Mojo Rawley. You'll see that he tries to pick up the pace, but he really can't do it for very long. Big arm wringer there. Quickly into the shoulder block. Mojo Rawley does have a good burst. He does have acceleration from a zero start. That's part of his defensive line training. If you're on the defensive line in American football, for our English or Australian fans, you really need to be able to go from zero to top speed very quickly. Big back body drop there by Rawley on Aiden English, who is in trouble to start the match. And you can see here Rawley firing up the crowd. That's what he loves to do. Helps him stay hyped, as he puts it. In comes Ryder now. There's a suplex and a missile dropkick. Nice combination there. I'm surprised it's taken that long for somebody to pull it out. That gets a 2 count. As you can see, Rawley useful in short spurts here. Now Ryder working his way through. pounding away in the corner on English using those forearms. Zack Ryder, just less than 6 months ago, Intercontinental Champion, the shock winner of a ladder match as Gotch tries to save his partner, can't get anywhere, and this brings everybody into the ring for a little do-si-do and bonzo-gonzo, razzle-dazzle, etc., etc. Everybody out, everybody out. This is a bar fight, last call, everyone out the door, I don't care who you are. We're left with the Ascension and the Usos. Ascension clear the Usos from the ring. Unfortunately, they may want to turn around, because you can see behind them American Alpha climbing on the top rope behind them. And double attack from the top rope, a classic Steiner Brothers move there. A lot of people compare them to the Steiner Brothers as we go to what looks like a commercial break. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a bit of a rest. I would have been more onto a commercial break if my feed skipped a little. Sorry about that. Ooh, a new original series called Storytime. That could be interesting. And it looks to be in the Camp WWE style, so I can't really complain about that. Of course, we have Talking Smack, the SmackDown post-game show, where Daniel Bryan expounds on the first 55 things to come to his mind. And Mick Foley is the latest reality family person, because we all know that you just can't get anywhere without putting some family in reality television. We'll have the Stone Cold podcast, as always. You saw the one with Dean Ambrose. You saw that they... Ambrose, a very unusual speaker with something extemporaneous. I'm not sure it works, or it works the way that WWE wants. Obviously, I thought he was just fine. Backlash coming up September 11th. The Clash of the Champions coming September 25th. Big deals here. A lot of special events, a lot of Sunday events, and hey, why not? You know what? You're already paying $9.99. You might as well give us more wrestling content. I did not see Women's Evolution, by the way. I was told it was very good. I was told it was actually more honest than people were looking, that people were expecting. Right along. I watched the first 4 episodes, loved every minute of it. I need to watch the next few. It is a really fun show, and it makes you wonder what took them so long to think of doing it. You know, everybody talks about how there are great road stories. Why not televise a few of them? Anyway, back to the action as Simon Gotch has Zack Ryder down in the ring. Obviously, something happened while we were gone. That is a short 2 count, maybe only been 1.9 now that I think about it. And Gotch working a headlock and armbar combination here, turning Ryder away from his corner. That's a very interesting and a very good tactic that more people should do. Sort of keep not just maximum separation, but maximum effort to turn it around. As you can see, Ryder had to make a full 180 just to get to face his opponent. It's the little things really that you look for in a match like this, as Gotch continues to hold the armbar. Now trying to work something under the neck. I can't quite see what he's doing. Oh, he's pulling his calf against Ryder's throat. That's what he's doing. A very innovative way to cheat, using the body parts in a way that is not expected. Here comes Victor into the ring. And the Ascension, just basically a smash mouth style. The whole thing has sort of evolved a little through NXT. The best way to describe it now is Homeless Man's Legion of Doom. There's nothing wrong with that, except that if you are a low-rent Legion of Doom, you at least have some of the popularity of Legion of Doom, which they don't have at this point. Holding the chinlock is Victor, as it appears Ryder is the designated victim on his side of the fence. It's one of the nice things about matches like this. They all tend to follow the same formula. You kind of know what you're getting into. Ryder freeing himself with a jawbreaker, and here comes the dive over the corner that leads to nothing. And, okay, my feed's sort of hiccuped a little. It's back now as Victor whips Connor into the corner and back into a knee that I think really made contact. That gets 2. I kind of understand you don't really want to make contact someone's knee against a person's head, but it's really hard when you can tell from about 50 feet away or from the hard camera that it was a miss. You don't really want to do that. Breeze in now as Connor tags out. Breeze working over Ryder in the corner. Nothing really fancy about Breeze. He's pretty much all showman. But he got a long way in NXT on being a showman, and now that he and Fandango are willing to be that vain comedy duo, there's a chance that something could come out of it. Leg drop getting 2, we're back to the chin lock, as I'm about 5 seconds behind Blake. It's like Harry Carey all over again here. Ryder forcing his way up. An interesting decision to isolate Ryder, considering he's had the most one-on-one success. But, sometimes those things just happen to you. As Breeze going for a leg trip roll into a Boston half crab. Tag made to Fandango, who springboards in with the leg drop. That's a nice combination there. Fandango the cover. He gets a short 2. Back into the corner now as we're ready for the next tag. Victor helping himself to the action. And I always find that interesting when you have these large matches like this and people start just sort of inviting themselves in. It's never a sign of trouble for the team that has to improvise like this, unless of course that's the plot. You may be hearing a beeping noise in the background. I apologize. My smoke detector's batteries ran out earlier today, and rather than replace them, I am going to be awake the whole time, so I might as well just put up with the beeping for another day. Who cares? Anyway, Victor brings in Connor. And, oh, wait, no, they changed their mind, decide not to do the whip, decide to clear the opposing corner first. And we all know that this means trouble. Big boot hits Connor. Victor is sent out, takes out Fandango with him. Connor's sent to the corner, wipes out the Vaudevillains. That leaves Breeze all alone. Now, is Breeze going to tag in and prevent a tag? The only people left on the apron right now are Breeze and Jimmy Uso. So I think no, Connor's going to try and take care of this on his own. Going for the over-the-shoulder press. And Ryder slips out the back door. A nice neck breaker there, Hangman neck breaker. Brings him just a little bit closer. I'm surprised nobody else has gotten back up on the apron at this point. That's kind of how things go. This is an impromptu Connor and Tyler Breeze against Zack Ryder and Jimmy Uso. And here comes Jimmy with the big tag. And as you can imagine, all sorts of momentum shift here. A big throat thrust. Again, it looked like you could see it didn't make contact. A Samoan throw. And Jimmy is fired up. I hate to bring up when you can see these things miss, because at any show they'll miss. Now spin around into the Dragon Whip on Connor. Breeze coming back. He gets another uppercut. Now Jason Jordan tags in as Jimmy Uso airballs on a crossbody. Big Greco-Roman suplex by Jordan. Here comes Fandango. He's going to get one of his own. And the straps come down. And when the straps come down, you know business picks up. Spinning leg lariat tried by Gotch. He's caught. Exploder! Hits. And Gotch trying to roll out of the ring, not being allowed to. Here comes the cover. And English with the save. This brings in Gable. But English catches the leg into a spinning powerbomb. You don't expect that out of somebody like English. Here's Raleigh with a huge right hand. Just floors English, who sells it so well. Enziguri by Breeze. Raleigh's out. Ryder in. Rough Rider attempt. Over the top. There's an uppercut by Victor. And now Breeze and Victor and Ryder are the only ones in the ring. This is not good news if you are the American Alpha team. They set him on the top rope, and they're both following up. It looks like they're going to try a double team superplex here, excuse me. And in a situation like this, you know that usually they're not going to be the only ones. In fact, here comes Raleigh, who's going to throw both of them off. Ryder hung on to the top rope, very impressive. He comes off the big Savage elbow, but rolls straight into position for the flying leg drop. We have our first super kick of the night. Connor And a big knee from the heart attack position by Victor. Now Gable's in. He low bridges Connor out. Does anyone remember who's legal in this match? Because I sure as heck don't. I believe it is Jordan and Breeze, but don't quote me on that. Victor stops Gable's momentum. The Ascension now with him for a suplex to the outside. They're holding him up. 2 more super kicks. Thank you very much. And the Ascension fall down. Usos in stereo over the low bridge by Gable, wiping out 5 or 6 guys along the way. That leaves Gable alone in the ring. And Gable, you don't really associate as a high flyer. And in fact, he's just going to get chucked to the outside. But Jordan makes the intercept. Here comes Gable. I guess Gotch is legal then. And Uso tags himself in. Grand Amplitude connects. Big splash by, looks like Jey Uso. 1, 2, good night. As American Alpha, the Usos and the Hype Bros team up for the victory. And a very solid opener. Everybody did their part. I'd say probably 2 1/4 to 2.5. I am not 100% here. Again, I'm just going off of instinct. I don't try to think about these things. But it looks like everybody on the fan favorite team most definitely on the same page here. And it's time to raise the arms of everybody. Jay, you want to get in position there? All right, let's check some replays here. The big one here, you see Gotch tossing Gable. Couldn't quite get him all the way to the outside. Jordan, the legal man, he comes in, makes the tag. But Jey Uso tags Gable when nobody is watching. The Green Amplitude. I don't think Gable realized he wasn't the legal man and had to be told. Thankfully, that didn't result in any trouble. Because here comes the big splash from Jey. And that's enough to get the pin when you take multiple finishers like that. Now we're ready for the massive hand raise. It's the Usos, the Hype Bros, American Alpha. Yeah, they're all chummy now, but you know that when the time comes and they get a set of tag team titles for their own, or if, the New Day visits, depending on how that works out, it's not going to last. It can't last. Booker T, an Uso fan, he trained them. That's kind of common knowledge here. So much for beating kayfabe, what can I say? Everybody excited about that one? I'm going to take another swig of water. Don't try to stop him. That's better. So, we're at the 1 hour, 14 minute mark to go. 1:14:05, 4, 3, just so you can stay in sync with me. I'll try and help you out that way. Very good opener. Definitely got the crowd into it, I imagine. I can't hear them, I can't tell you. But, that's kind of what you want. Is you want to give everybody a spot on this show. It is really the main roster WrestleMania. There's only one part-timer here. And it's time to talk about Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler earning this opportunity on the first split-brand SmackDown Live. And he feels he is long overdue. Ambrose thinks there's a reason he hasn't really been a credible champion yet. You know, you don't really realize how long these video packages are until you have to sit quietly through the whole thing. The basic story here is that Dolph Ziggler feels that people are sort of underestimating him. They're taking him lightly. They feel he's not world title material. And he's going to basically prove everyone wrong and get that, not just that win, but that run as champion that he feels he needs. Ambrose, on the other hand, feels that Ziggler doesn't have it in him to have that run. And when you look at the numbers, Ambrose kind of has a point here. So far, in title matches, Dean Ambrose has won 3 in his career. The Money in the Bank cash-in, and then 2 defenses. One on the draft SmackDown, and then one at Battleground. Dolph Ziggler has won 2 of his world title matches. Actually, it's even worse than that. He's only won 1 title match, and that was the Money in the Bank cash-in. He is a 2-time champion, but the first time he was handed the title by Vicky Guerrero. This is something I don't like to talk about. In a series where basically Vicky wanted to get the title off of Edge and, kept changing the rules until finally she got sick of it and just stripped Edge of the title and handed it to Dolph Ziggler. That lasted for about 10 minutes officially until a rematch was made by the returning general manager. Of course, it's Theodore Long, and Edge was champion once again. Then in 2013, the night after WrestleMania 29, one of the more famous moments in the history of Raws after WrestleMania, Ziggler cashed in his Money in the Bank contract, got his first legitimate world title victory over Alberto Del Rio, who had just been in a handicap match. Small problem. Ziggler got injured very early on in that reign, and as such, he did not defend at the next event. He defended 2 events down the line, but he wasn't fully healed, and Del Rio took advantage of that to take the win. So in his 2 title reigns, Dolph Ziggler has defended the title successfully 0 times. He actually has more title reigns than wins in title matches. Compare this to Dean Ambrose, who, Ziggler would like to note, has basically had a quick escalation to the top, and that's true. The Shield started at the top. After their split, Ambrose followed Rollins to the top, the best way to put it. But at the same time, Ambrose has successfully defended the title, and if you look within the storylines, the Authority did everything possible to keep Ambrose from being a successful wrestler. So, in a sense, Ambrose knows exactly where Ziggler has been. And he's sort of getting into Ziggler's head, and this is something I don't think really they're intending as the story, but it is the story here. Ambrose is getting into Ziggler's head, saying, there's no way you can do this. I'm going to make sure you can't do this. You are a desperate man. You cannot do this. And something that Ambrose himself knows is that when you are a desperate man, you make mistakes. We all remember Ambrose against Bray Wyatt at TLC. Ambrose was desperate to take Bray Wyatt out of the picture. Didn't even check to make sure that he had completely unplugged the monitor. It wound up blowing up in his face. A rather unfortunate incident, but a rather famous one. So, within the story, Dean Ambrose knows what happens if you get too desperate and don't actually have a plan. And that's always been the thing about Ambrose, is that he's had stealth plans, and that's something they've always talked about. So, I believe this is going to be the night that Ziggler gives up being the good person, whether that's going to be that he cheats rapidly to win, or whether it's going to be that he snaps at the end of the match and destroys Dean Ambrose. I'm not sure. I would think the smarter answer is to give Ambrose the win here, just because at this point, if you give him the win, he is always a viable main eventer. And you want to make somebody who is a viable main eventer, even if it's just a stopgap. And that's something you get with not just winning the world title, but defending it at big events multiple times. That's how you make it happen. So, you can see that apparently, what's his name? Wale? I'm not sure. Provided a song here, and we are looking over a crowd that is starting to fill up. If you look down the floor, plenty of good seats still available, though. Obviously, Booker T knows who it is. And, I think when it comes to the match tonight between Ambrose and Ziggler, oh, look at this. Baron Corbin showing up, just kind kind of showing how much he cares about other people. Corbin not on the show tonight. I'm sure that's sort of a bone he's picking right here, as we're at 104.34, 33, 32, and now Corbin has something to say. Well, the thing you need to know about Baron Corbin is he was in the six-way final. He did not succeed. He had a no decision in that. He was in the three-way that resulted in Apollo Crews challenging The Miz again. He had a no decision in that. So you have a combination of frustration from somebody who does not handle frustration well. And he's sort of... I see. All right, so what he's saying is that Kalisto not medically cleared to compete tonight. Makes me wonder if it's a wellness thing or whatever. Okay, Roman Reigns and Rusev, United States Championship. Rusev may not be a world champ, but he's still got something, right? Alright, so basically what you saw there was Rusev and Lana renewing their marriage ceremony, if you will. I know they say that Corbin was cleared to, Corbin and Kalisto were scheduled to meet tonight. I don't remember that match being on the show. I don't remember it being one of the 13 matches. But we just saw Rusev and Roman Reigns, how that got here. Rusev got married. He and Lana wanted everybody to know about it. Roman Reigns kind of makes fun of Rusev, as is customary in wrestling. Somebody winds up wearing a bunch of wedding cake all over their face, in this case Lana. Rusev doesn't like that, and here's the match. In case you're wondering why I'm talking about what Corbin said, I do have a couple of people on Skype. I've asked them to keep me up to date if something very interesting happens. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I forget that Corbin and Kalisto were one of the matches tonight. There were 13 matches scheduled throughout these 6 hours. It's entirely possible. If so, then, let's see what they have. I'm going to go to the Wikipedia, see if that was the case. I doubt it was. That's kind of the thing. I think I remember that being one of the matches. I know that they were building to something. Let's go here and see. According to Wikipedia, this match was never going to happen in the first place. So take what Corbin said with a grain of salt. Maybe they had been added to the show. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. You want to get everybody on here right now. The only people who really stand out are Baron Corbin and Bray Wyatt. But that's kind of the way it is. You don't really know what to expect. We're coming up on the 1 hour mark before the main event, the main show begins. It is 6 o'clock in the East, 5 in the Central, 3 in Pacific. It is 11 in Great Britain, and in Vince McMahon's brain, it's 1953. 2, 1, exactly an hour left. This way you can keep synchronized with me. I am, once again, the Duke of the Daily. Some people call me Andy PG. And I'm here to be talking for a very long time. Up next, a little look at Sasha Banks versus Charlotte for the Women's Championship. Right now, the Raw Women's Championship, although there is no SmackDown title. This one was basically somebody wins, somebody gets a rematch. And then they built on it. Alright, now we are in the social media lounge with Sasha Banks. Again, I'll just let them speak for themselves. Okay, so as you saw in that, both the video package and then the follow-up, the Raw where Sasha Banks won the title was basically the defining moment of her career, and they're playing it up as the defining moment of her career, which should be setting off alarm bells for long-time wrestling fans, because if somebody peaks and it's played up as the peak, there tends to be trouble figuring out what happens next. And in something like this, the thing you have to remember is that Charlotte right now is in a never on Sunday groove. Basically, ever since her call-up, this is something we've checked. If Charlotte is one-on-one, she doesn't lose. If she's in a team, that's a different story. And in fact, the only loss she's had on a Sunday was last time at Battleground to Sasha Banks that set up this whole title change in the first place. So the question becomes, is this a normal situation where you're just sort of flip-flopping back and forth here? Are you going to go all out? This match is more interesting in a meta sense than it is for its own sake. We know what Sasha's capable of. We know that she's going to kill herself trying to make this match the match everyone remembers. We know what Charlotte does with her ground game. We know what she does with cheating. But the question becomes, what's going to happen? And in a sense, it's more interesting who wins. Hang on, we're with Cesaro right now. Okay, here's the thing. What exactly are Cesaro and Sheamus fighting over? It's a best of 7 because we know that these two are, that they love to hate each other. There's a sense that each one wants to get the better of the other. But the problem is this. What's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow here? And we also have here Sami Zayn and Neville going against the Dudley Boys. This one, there's not really an issue. It's another one of these everybody gets paid moments. And there's nothing wrong with that, really. So back to Cesaro and Sheamus for a second. Most times when there's a best of 7, there's a reason for it. You think about Booker T and Chris Benoit and the 2 best of 7s they had. There was a title at the end of the line for the winner. You think about the best of 5 Booker T with John Cena. Again, a title at the end of the line. Most of the time you want there to be a big prize, even if it's simply something thrown in as a story. Remember that Edge and Christian versus the Hardys, when they had their big best of 5 back in the day, was entirely built around this, not just the managerial services of Terry Reynolds, but also there was a lot of money on the line. Or that was the idea, was that there was a cash prize to the winner of this best of 5. Between Cesaro and Sheamus, I'm not sure what they're going for here. Alright, we switched in the A-Team. It is Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and Byron Saxton, who is on the A-Team by default. I wish I understood why. But, actually, I take it back. This is the Raw team, not the A-Team. I was thinking, A and B, this is Raw and SmackDown so far. So, threw me off guard for a second, And we're ready for some tag team action. This time not as complicated as the previous tag team match. Here come the Dudley Boys, and if you've been watching their Raw matches lately, you've been noticing that the chemistry that they've built up over the 20-some-odd years they've been teaming together, not really in sync as of the last few matches, and you can see that Bubba Ray Dudley is kind of getting a little frustrated. Now, are they going to build on that in this match? Is this going to lead to something? I can't imagine that they would split the Dudley Boys because this is basically what they are. And, from the Attitude Era on, if you had a set way of being in the Attitude Era, you have to do something drastic like Matt Hardy did to snap out of it. But then again, we know, people who have watched TNA know, that really Bubba Ray Dudley as a singles competitor is pretty darn good. And now their opponents, we're going to start with Neville, who is breaking orbit and breaking ground tonight. I don't understand this trend of facial hair yet. I mean, the Stanley Cup playoffs just ended like 2 months ago, guys. You can shave. Neville, formerly Adrian Neville, better known on the minor league circuit as Pac, back in England. Always been the man that gravity forgot, and now here comes his tag team partner, Sami Zayn. Sami finally putting the Kevin Owens issue to rest last month at Battleground. Of course, he still has to walk to the locker room and see him every week. It's amazing. Fortunately, this is more of a mindset thing. And as you can see, Sami Zayn's reward for putting on a series of matches that the crowd was absolutely into, and finally winning and beating the curse that is Kevin Owens, is that he is on the pre-show. Because, look, an eagle! So, on one side, we have two former NXT heavyweight champions in Neville and Sami Zayn. On the other, we have Bubba Ray Dudley, former TNA World Champion, and Devon Dudley. They have held approximately 24 tag team titles that can be considered national or higher in prestige. We're going to start with Devon against Neville. And here we go. There's the lockup. Looks like Devon getting a bit of an arm wringer out of it. If this match is going to be decided by power, you know the Dudley's going to win, and that's how Neville's got to do it. He's got to use his speed and his agility. The team of Neville and Zayn much more agile, but the chemistry issue, they haven't teamed much. They did team, I can remember one time, and it was on Raw to promote NXT TakeOver against Tyler Breeze and Tyson Kidd. But other than that, they don't really team much, as you can see them sort of switching off quickly. That's good tag team wrestling there, working Devon's arm. On the other hand, Bubba Ray and Devon, as I said, have been tag teaming for 20 years. So, coherence definitely on the side of the Dudley boys under normal circumstances. But as I've said, maybe not this time. The Dudley's on a bit of a losing streak, mostly based off of miscommunications. Oh my goodness! Neville doing a corkscrew moonsault from essentially Sami Zayn's back. Pretty impressive there. Alley-oop into a drop kick as Zayn sends Neville into Bubba Ray, and the Dudley boys are going to have to regroup a little on the outside. Neville has an idea. Zayn is in position for a little poetry in motion, but Devon breaks that up. Sami being told he's not the legal man, get out of the ring, as Bubba Ray returns and knocks Neville down from behind. So maybe the Dudleys kind of know what they're doing right now. But Bubba's not the legal man either, so he's cleared out, and we're back to Devon against Neville. Devon working Neville over in the corner. You know, for a team that's been together for 20 years, they're both still relatively young. They got their starts relatively young. I believe they're both about 45 right now. And you would think that for a team from the Attitude Era, that's kind of young. I mean, you think about the New Age Outlaws in their early to mid-50s. You think about, Triple H, he's 48 or so. You think about these people that are very old by comparison. And here are the Dudleys, not just competitive 40s, but, they're still keeping up with these guys. They don't look slow most of the time, and they're able to use their cohesiveness and their experience in tag team wrestling to their benefit. As we have the Brock Lesnar Randy Orton commercial here, I'm sure I'll be saying a lot about that when it becomes the main event. because all indications are it will be the main event. I've already mentioned I am a huge Randy Orton fan, so I'm hoping that he gets treated a little better than Dean Ambrose was, and a little better than John Cena was 2 years ago at SummerSlam. I hope, but, Vince keeps chasing that mainstream crossover pot of gold, and it just backfired on him badly. But I'm not sure Vince cares. I'm not sure Vince is even aware it's backfired on him, to be honest with you. I've mentioned that I think he has CTE. He is 71 years old. He can't really be at the top of his game, so who knows how this is going to be. As we return to kayfabe and return to the match, Bubba Ray Dudley knocking Neville to the floor with a neck breaker. As my feed skips a little. We get a replay of that as Devon goes for the cover, and we'll get 2. I apologize. For whatever reason, my feed will every once in a while pick up and will replay a few seconds or fall a few seconds behind, so I'm trying to speed it up. I do have my PlayStation controller right next to me. And just look at this corkscrew moonsault from Neville, and not from a very tall height either. That's what's impressive about it. That he gets that rotation and he doesn't really have much of a platform to go off of. Most people doing corkscrews are doing them over the top rope or off the turnbuckles. He's doing it almost from a standing position. We have the big leg drop by Devon. That gets another 2 count. You can see Sami Zayn walking out of range of the turnbuckle. That is a mistake for somebody who's not used to tag team wrestling. Didn't really matter in this case because Neville was nowhere near the corner anyway, and he's basically being trapped in the neutral corner by Devon. Devon trying to drag Zayn into the match verbally. Sami Zayn didn't quite take the bait. He thought about it, thought better of it. Devon continues working over Neville. In comes Bubba Ray. Just a wide open punch to the gut. One thing about Bubba Ray is he is good at controlling brawls, and that's another time that you get from this TNA heavyweight champion experience. And you can hear him sort of talking trash to Neville right now. That is something that not a lot of people do. Bubba Ray Dudley does it. You hear Kevin Owens do it. You don't really hear too many others do it. And it doesn't make sense. On the one hand, you're supposed to be playing this as a TV show, so, say something the cameras can pick up. But on the other hand, on top of that, the fans can see that you are chewing your opponent out. Here comes Bubba Ray. He's on the second rope, ready for the senton, and once again he misses. That's kind of a thing he does. Please, somebody go on the WWE Network or on Wikipedia or somewhere and let me know when the last time it is that Bubba Ray Dudley actually hit somebody with that move. It's kind of like Ric Flair going to the top rope. It never ends well. And here comes Sami Zayn to take on Devon now as both partners tag out, but Zayn definitely with better momentum. Backs him into the ropes, gets it reversed, comes in, pop-up drop kick, not bad. You can see the fire in Zayn's eyes here. Devon cuts him off, only to run into the Blue Thunder Bomb. And that, of course, will get a 2 count, but at least this time Bubba Ray Dudley broke it up. So, a bit of a difference there. Now Bubba in, as the Dudleys look to be in control here, but Sammy's not going to go down to the 3D quietly. He's fighting off both men at once as best he can. Neville's still recovering from the beating he took. And now, double team neck breaker by the Dudleys. Bubba rolls into the cover. That gets 2, and here's Neville coming out of nowhere for the save. So now's the time when the referee's got to be careful. This is when things tend to get a little nasty. Things tend to break down. They're setting Neville up in the ropes. Looks like they're ready for the 3D. Neville leaps over Devon. Bubba Ray clotheslines Devon by mistake. Whew, there's that miscommunication that's been plaguing the Dudleys lately. Charges in. Zayn follows with the running haluva kick. And he says, Neville, finish this once and for all. Neville is in position. Zayn encouraging him. Ready, steady, red arrow connects. But Neville can't. No, there's the follow-up. Zayn with the chancery on Devon to keep him away, and that's a win. Good old-fashioned 2-star match there. Nothing you should be ashamed about. Just get this on, get this through, and give everybody another reason to be fired up. Give them another reason to be excited. Look at the replay here. It was obvious they were sitting for 3D, even though Neville was not the legal man. Bubba tried to improvise the clothesline, hit Devon. Lots of confusion there. In comes Zayn with the haluva kick. He tags in Neville, encourages him, and there's a red arrow to finish the whole thing off. Just an amazing move, a corkscrew with a shooting star press. He's the only person I've ever seen do that. So, in a sense, it makes sense that it would get the win here. Sami, Neville, good teammates. The Dudleys, they need to regroup. They've been on a bad run lately. And once again, you see two individuals beat the team here. Is that a sign for later when the Jersey Boys, or the realest guys in the room, whatever you want to call them, take on Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens? That's going to be the big question. And, what does this mean? What does it mean going forward? What's it going to mean when it's all said and done? You can break down this match any way you want. The big story here, of course, is miscommunication from the Dudleys and the fact that Neville and Sami Zayn pick up the win. A good win for them as we continue our march. We're now 2 down and either 11 or 12 to go, depending on what Baron Corbin said earlier. I'm going to see if anything important is being said here. Probably it's just the usual. And like I said, we got 10 matches official for the card tonight, including the debut of the Raw Heavyweight title, the WWE Universal title they're calling it. It is Seth Rollins against Finn Balor, who is going full demon tonight. Let's see how these two got to be the finalists for the title. Sorry about that, guys. Thought I took the phone off before this started. Fortunately, we're just about done with that segment anyway. So what you saw there was more about Finn Balor than Seth Rollins. Now, Rollins, in the 3 or so years that he has been on the main roster, has been a big deal. He has won the tag team titles and held them for a long time. He won the World Heavyweight title and held it for a long time. As Booker T gets into character here, let's just pretend that didn't happen. He won the U.S. title, did not hold it for a long time. You can't win them all. He won the world title a second time and really didn't hold it for a long time, but he has had success not just as NXT Heavyweight Champion. He was the first person to hold the NXT flavor of the title, and that was pre-network days, by the way, so don't go looking for it. But he's held 4 championships already in just under 3 years. That's a big deal. Balor, on the other hand, dominated NXT. You can count the number of matches he lost in NXT on your hands, and you can count the number of matches he lost when he pulled out the Demon Persona on one hand. Once! Just one person in his time in the WWE has managed to defeat his demonic alter ego. That is his trump card. That is the thing he goes to as an extra psych up. Now, in NXT, it's worth noting that it didn't really change his style of wrestling any, but it seemed to instill him with a greater confidence and a greater drive to fight. So, the question becomes, will the Demon be different? First. Second, if he is different, how will he be? And third, if he isn't different, will Finn Balor show a greater fire as the Demon than he will as himself? It was very interesting that he pulled the Demon out of mothballs on Raw before SummerSlam and actually showed Seth Rollins what he was getting into. That shows that Finn has a lot of confidence in the Demon persona. Obviously, he's been on a roll so far, but the wild card in this one is Jon Stewart. You heard me, Jon Stewart. He is known to be in the building. He's known that he's going to make an appearance. And as you recall, he and Seth Rollins did not seem to get along a year ago, but he helped Seth Rollins win at SummerSlam 1 year ago. But he did that out of respect for Ric Flair because John Cena was going for his 16th time. Long story. He doesn't have to protect anything with Finn Balor. If Finn wins, it is his first ever World Heavyweight Championship within the United States. First ever recognized World Championship. So, in this case, is Jon Stewart going to be a factor? I think he will. I don't like the fact that I think he will, but I think it's a strong possibility. And I think this time you're going to see it go against Seth Rollins. You're going to see Finn Balor, the first ever Universal Champion, essentially the Raw Heavyweight Champion. And Rollins is not going to join Samoa Joe on the list of people who can slay the Demon. That's the big thing, is that when you talk about Finn Balor, you have to talk about that inner personality that he has, that inner confidence that he has when he busts out the body paint. Seth Rollins, on the other hand, it's very interesting. He seems, as we hit 30 minutes, for those who wish to keep sync, it seems very interesting that he tends to succeed a lot better and get favors from those in charge. Stephanie has a thing for Seth Rollins, sort of chosen Seth as the new star. She drafted Seth Rollins before Dean Ambrose, thinking that Seth was going to bring the title with him. She has given Seth Rollins a free pass to this match. And throughout their time together in 2015 and 2014, Stephanie made sure Rollins was taken care of, whether giving him the Money in the Bank briefcase or giving him a long title reign that did not end with defeat, may I remind you. The only time Seth Rollins has been beaten for the championship has been when he had absolutely no time to prepare for Dean Ambrose. And even then, remember, Ambrose ambushed him. So, Rollins, in addition to having the favor of Stephanie McMahon, is very talented in these big match situations. That means that Balor really did need to go to the Demon. If you want to keep this in sort of a strategy sense. But the question is, did he need to go to the Demon on Raw? If that's your trump card, why play it so soon? I don't know if Finn Balor is prepared for what he's going up against. That's going to be the big question tonight. That's going to be the big difference maker. And it's going to be interesting, how these two different title matches play out. In each case, you have sort of the devil inside. It's more overt with Finn Balor in that he's going to unleash the devil inside. But you look at Dolph Ziggler, and you know that this is eating him. You know that his lack of consistent success eats away at him, and he is getting desperate, and he's getting kind of scared, really, that, he's had his last chance, or this is his last chance. So, is he going to bring the devil out? Is he going to show everyone the dark side that he had when this began? The side that, would think nothing of accepting a stacked deck. The side that would think nothing of using a woman to keep a briefcase. The side that had a bodyguard. Big E started as Dolph Ziggler's bodyguard. This is what Dolph Ziggler does when he feels his back is against the wall. So, in both matches, you have a case, as has been said, the devil inside. We know that Finn Balor is going to bring the devil out. And we know that Seth Rollins has been the devil for some time, sort of the devil you know. The real question is, can the demon beat the devil here? Or is it going to result in, the underhanded tactics really coming to the fore again? And then on the other side, Dean Ambrose has had his demons. He is, this is a known thing about Dean Ambrose. He has overcome them. Now he stands atop. He has become more mature, surprisingly enough. I think that's kind of a strange thing to say about Dean Ambrose, because he does not act in a way you expect a mature wrestler to act, but it's all part of the plan. It's all part of his fight, really. And so he has overcome, and he has shown that you don't need to resort to this in order to be the winner. He has shown it against Seth Rollins on the draft show. He showed it at Battleground. Dolph Ziggler, does he need those demons? Does he need to sink to that level? Who knows? We'll find out soon enough. But first, here is match number 1 in the best of 7 for something. The championship of each other. Who knows? We're ready. It is Sheamus. It is Cesaro. It is two guys hitting each other really, really hard. And, at the end of the day, isn't that what we're all asking for? Two guys hitting each other really hard. Maybe that's why they're having 7. Of course, that's why they're having 7 matches. But again, when Mick Foley put this together, he didn't really say what the end game was. And furthermore, and this is something that's sort of unusual, when he put it together, Cesaro had won the first 2 matches. It'd be one thing if they split and it was clear that neither man was going to let the other one go. Then you say, okay, best of 7, fine, get it out of your system. But that's not what happened here. Oh, I am digging that Cesaro Bond motif right there. That is quality. This is the first time I've seen it. I don't really get to watch Raw that much, so this is all new to me right now. Very well done, guys. And now the important part. Who needs a tuxedo anyway? I don't need pants. Let's go. Again, this all started because Cesaro felt that he had slipped way too far in the draft order. Yes, he had injury concerns, but he felt that he had been overlooked. Sheamus sort of mocked him for being overlooked, Cesaro decided, fine, I'll make an example out of you. Sheamus didn't like that, and we're gone from here. And again, the thing to note is, Sheamus is sort of getting a reprieve in these matches. He started in an 0-2 hole. He lost the first match. He lost the return match. But he kept pushing the issue until Foley, who, must not have been paying attention, I guess, decided, okay, fine, we'll wipe the slate clean. We'll start you over. First to 4 wins. Here comes the lockup. Sheamus, Cesaro, back and forth they go. Both men wanting to avoid being caught in the corner. Finally, the referee says, enough of this. Let's get a break. Ooh, Sheamus nearly with a quick brogue kick. Cesaro follows with a running uppercut. He wants a quick finish. Sheamus won't let him. Cesaro on his feet, coming off the ropes, ducks a clothesline, follows into a no, he's caught in the DDT. Sheamus looking for a spine buster. He can't get that. Cesaro wants the swing. Sheamus escapes, and a double stomp from Cesaro as he gets the first successful offense of the match. Out goes Sheamus thanks to a clothesline over the top, and Cesaro once again off to a quick start. Off the rope comes Cesaro, and my feed skips. I'm sorry about that. Back in the ring he goes. He's going to get a 2 count out of it. I assume that he dove on Sheamus. I don't know what's happening here. For some reason, my streaming feed is not the best. I apologize. Hopefully, this is the first time it's really cut out on something important, though. So we'll hope that doesn't change. 21-47, 46, 45 as Cesaro lands an uppercut. Sheamus reverses in the corner, gets one of his own, and another. Now he's giving the uppercuts to Cesaro that Cesaro was known for. Cesaro returns the favor with, looks like 2 or 3 of his own. Cross corner whip here. Sheamus stuck there, going to launch Cesaro over the corner. Big forearm. And now going for the 10 beats, or as I would call it, the 10 of clubs. I think that's a kind of a cooler and faster name. Shot to the back. Loosens Cesaro up. He's got him in position. But Cesaro blocks. Now Sheamus, you'd think, would switch to a chokehold there, but he doesn't. Cesaro pulls the arm away. A couple of headbutts. And Sheamus drops Cesaro on the top rope. Now setting him into the post. As you can see, those are extra large posts in the corner. That's an unusual decision made. I like it. I think it'll give people more room to do their moves. It could be interesting coming down the line, I'll tell you that right now. Sheamus asking if the crowd is not entertained, or something like that. As Cesaro's slow to get up. Suplex attempt by Sheamus. Up and over, well done. Going for the cover, but only a 1 count. Yeah, way too early to try and get a pinfall here. And now Sheamus working a top wrist lock on Cesaro. You saw during the early opening flurry that the earlier matches these two had against each other, and other matches before then, remember, 2 years ago, they were going at it for the United States Championship. So, there is a familiarity here. There is sort of a, there's a way that these two know each other. Now, inside out with a modified torture rack slam. I'm sure he has a name for that. I just don't know what it is off the top of my head. Let's take another look at that. Very painful looking move, whatever it is. Cesaro back in control now. He gets a suplex. Floats over after a hesitation, but again, just a 1 count. You can't really pin a guy with the tenacity of Sheamus, the tenacity of Cesaro, with just a suplex. Both of these men known for their toughness. Sheamus there with a back kick. And then just a knee to the jaw, it looked like. I'm sure he was going for a kick, but it looked like the knee hit him. I'm sure he'll take that one way or another. Like I'm saying, it's going to take a lot to finish either one of these guys off. Now, shoulder ram in the corner, comes in. Cesaro follows him with another uppercut. But an elbow smash by Sheamus. He's looking for the tilt-a-whirl into the slam. Gets it. There's the cover. There's two, and there's a kick out. Cesaro not done yet. Sheamus, as we go to commercial, in control. This is the biggest event of the summer, and as soon as this match is over, I am going to cut this out. I'm going to say thanks for coming. I'm going to start up the next feed so that you can at least watch SummerSlam on cue. Here we go. Oh, not yet. Sorry. Thought that was it. Obviously not. Now a commercial for the Foley show. The thing I want to mention about this Sheamus Cesaro match, as I mentioned before, it seems like they've missed a few logical things in building this match. It's not just that there's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's that there wasn't really a parity established earlier. So I'm not entirely sure, why Foley would make a best of 7 out of this. I'm sure a lot of people are thankful, but it doesn't add up. All right, we're back. We got the chin lock on. Sheamus with some banter. Wearing Cesaro down in the center of the ring. As you saw, this was prior to going to commercial. Cesaro had the uppercut. So we know he delivered those out of nowhere. Case in point, he delivers one, sort of a Goldust style. Ooh, whew, scrap buster into a backbreaker by Sheamus. That gets a 2. Sheamus hoping to take the advantage in this best of 7 series. 1650, 49, just make sure we're still synchronized. And he looks over Cesaro. It's a little early for frustration to set in. He had to know he couldn't win this match right away. Very unusual, very bad trait for Sheamus to think that it's going to come to him. As Cesaro fights back, punches to the gut. Another uppercut. Sheamus trying to take the wind out of Cesaro, hoping to build for a power move. Has him up, looking for the Finley roll. Gets the running start. There it is. A classic Irish move. But he's making a mistake. Not just putting the mohawk, but he's turned his back to Cesaro. He knows Cesaro's a tough competitor. Now, Cesaro, at the moment, has the wind knocked out of him, can't really take advantage, but you got to stay on a guy like that. It's a very unusual decision. So Sheamus now has the front chancery. You can do a lot of things from this move. A suplex, a DDT, he's going to choose the suplex. But Cesaro is ready. Looks to reverse. Both men looking for the leverage needed to hoist the other. Nothing really happening right now. A lot of leg blocks, a lot of steadiness. Cesaro moves to the apron. He's going to take Sheamus with him. So basically a stalemate there. Neither man really coming out the better for it. Both men hit really hard, I got to be honest with you. You can see it right here. Sheamus tried to dump Cesaro out. Cesaro falls. Sheamus's head lands on the apron. Cesaro lands with that taped shoulder first onto the floor. So neither man really caught where they want to in a play. Both men getting the other for a lot of damage on that move. Sheamus is in. Cesaro is struggling. Count is late. Oh, Cesaro tumbling the wrong way, but he's going to get in at 9. Of course he's getting in at 9. Have you ever seen him not? Really, the fact that Reigns didn't at Payback was sort of a surprise. Now, Sheamus continuing the fight with the uppercuts. Sort of just, disrespecting Cesaro with that little slap to the back of the head. Another uppercut. But Cesaro appears to be sort of clearing the cobwebs. He does not like getting pushed around like that. He's going to take with a slap of his own to say, stop doing that, and here's what happens when you do it. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Uppercut after uppercut. Cesaro is pumped. He's getting that extra wind that you need. Backing Sheamus, throwing him into the opposite corner, coming in. There's another one. Sheamus with the reversal. Cesaro into the corner. He throws Sheamus onto the top rope, and it's a drop kick to send him to the apron. Very impressive move there. Cesaro, you always knew he had the talent. There's just something that is preventing him from putting it all together when the biggest chips are on the table. Maybe this best of 7 will bring out the best in him. Maybe, dropping down in the draft lit a fire under him. Here we go. Inside out superplex, or in this case outside in, really. Connection. Float over. 1, 2, not quite. Cesaro, a little frustrated by that. Probably thought that he had it, but it was a good 2 3/4. Not quite a 3. Now he has a hold of Sheamus's leg, which is good because it means that his opponent can't get space as Cesaro starts thinking about what to do next. He has an idea. It looks like he wants to do the swing. Sheamus was ready, kicks away into a cradle, gets the 2. Again, a little hesitation by Cesaro. Does a float over, tilt-a-whirl variety, goes for the neutralizer, can't get it. Emerald Fusion by Sheamus. That's not going to get the pin either. I'm a little surprised too, Sheamus. It looked like a very solid hit to me, but not quite enough. You can see here, the deep sea float over. Tries to switch to the gotcha style neutralizer. Can't quite get it. Up on his back, drops him in the Emerald. And that's going to lead to what he thought was a 3. Didn't really, he was a leg, but he was, sort of covering back to belly. Yeah, that's a very unusual way to cover. Now setting up. Shot to the kidneys. There's 1 beat. Bringing him to the top rope, it looks like. From there, trying to pick him up. Looks like he's going for a Finley roll off the top, sort of the Green Bay plunge. There it is. Goes to the cover. That's 2. No, that's all he gets. There's nothing wrong with these matches. They're very good. The only thing that gets me is I'm not sure why they're fighting each other. Mick Foley put them in a best of 7, but he didn't really promise a prize to the winner. That seems to be the biggest oversight in this whole thing, and it keeps coming back to it as Cesaro trying to regain his bearings. I'm sure we'll find out later he said something he probably shouldn't have been heard saying, but I have the sound off. I can't really tell. And as Sheamus is ready, he has cleared his mind. Cesaro getting up in the opposite corner. Sheamus turns around. He's going to see Cesaro in perfect position. He's ready to finish this and go 1-0 up. Here's the charge. Wait a minute. Cesaro caught him with the boot. Sheamus regains his bearings, charges clothesline by Cesaro. He goes to the cover. That's 2. That's not going to be enough. No, Cesaro. Just 2. But it looked like Sheamus had this finish, was ready for the pump kick. Cesaro met him with a boot of his own. Sheamus recovered enough, but just ran into a clothesline. That's how we got the most recent 2 count. Cesaro going up top. Going to place 1 foot. Going to stand on that extra wide pedestal. That means, springboard into a crossbody. That's 2. That's not going to work either. Very inventive move by Cesaro there. Using the unique design of the ring to his advantage. Wasn't just getting extra distance, it was getting an extra oomph, treating the top rope like a trampoline. And here we go, swinging. 1 rotation, 2 rotations, 3 rotations, 4, 5, 6 rotations, 7. How long is this going? Nope, just going to be 8 rotations into the sharpshooter. But he set it up too close to the ropes, turned Sheamus in the wrong direction. Sheamus didn't have far to go to meet the ropes, which is good news for him because I think he still looks a little disoriented from the swing. Does get the back elbow, goes for the pump kick, can't get it. Cesaro trips the legs, grapevines him, he wants a sharpshooter. Sheamus to the eyes to block. Sheamus sends Cesaro, bad shoulder first into the post. Here comes the bro kick, right on the money. And Sheamus is going to go up 1-0 in this best of 7 in a good 3-star match. Folks, stick with us here. In about in a few minutes, we're going to start up looking at SummerSlam proper. This has been the Duke. This has been Andy PG, however you know me. And this has been my